chit-chatting and conversation on special interest topics, news, events, and stories through correspondence reports, expert opinion, and stakeholders' analysis. Welcome to the show again.
Always a pleasure doing this with you, Divine.
Yes.
You know, we have really interesting topics today.
Indeed.
And I cannot wait to hear our guest analysis on these stories.
True.
Let's get straight to it.
Now to the trending stories. In Bayelsa State, local government workers panic over delayed salary payments.
And in Akwa Ibom State, EFCC arrests suspected internet fraudsters.
In Enugu State, Airport Police DPO dies on duty.
Ondo State, women group canvass for deputy governor slot.
In Niger State, Nigeria on track to attain food security FG.
And moving straight to the National Assembly, reps hold implementation of 0.5% levies.
We will go on a short break, and when we're back, the conversation on Atlantic Blowout will begin.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human.
seated with us in the studio, we have Barrister Livin Gifton Jamala. He's a political and public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning to you, ladies, for having me this morning.
Welcome. Always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Blowout.
Okay, and we have live in the studio Ambassador Dr. Ekie C. Ekie, who is an advocate and public affairs analyst. You're very much welcome, Ambassador.
My pleasure being here. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome again to ATM
so
Blowout. Okay, let's look at our very first story here. This one's on delayed salary payment. Bayelsa State Deputy Governor, Senator Lawrence Ekrujapo, has advised local government workers, primary school teachers and health workers who have not been captured in the ongoing computerization process and as a result are yet to receive their April salary not to panic, as machinery have been put in place to address their complaints. He gave the advice yesterday at a meeting with the newly sworn-in chairman of the 8 local government councils, relevant stakeholders, including representatives of the National Union of Local Government Employees in Yenagoa. The committee, according to the Deputy Governor, comprises the chairman, heads of local government administration, treasurers and other principal officers of the various councils, representatives of the State Local Government Service Commission and labor unions. He explained that the ongoing digital audit of the local government system is not intended to witch hunt any worker, but rather aimed at curbing fraud in the system to free up resources for development projects at the grassroots level. Now, let's actually get your thoughts on this story. This looks like a new development, and he has explained to them that this is for your own good to avoid fraud. That is why the documentation is there. But because of this, they've not been paid. What's your perspective to this story?
Yes, one is a responsible decision of government. One coming out to say we are sorry for our new decision. I think it's a government that is responsible that can do that. And then secondly, I will want to plead that most of the times when these things erupt is because of a system that is weak. Because if the system, the process of recruitment is sincere from the very beginning, you wouldn't be coming up with, we have ghost workers, we want to check who is actually a government worker or not. Because from the very beginning, you compute your system, you make it in a way that if you weren't, rightly employed, you will not be employed. So your name will not even be in the government pay list. So I'm using this opportunity to beg every other state and every other systems of government that in times of employment, in times of recruitment, let us be sincere. Because believe you me, time will be wasted, resources will be wasted, and lives will suffer, because they never envisage that their salary will not be paid because of this kind of...
Yes. I want to believe Bayelsa State government is doing this for the first time. And what is the essence of having the employment of, or the role on a system is to avoid where we call multiple employments. And sometimes their intention may be genuine, that is to eradicate fraud in the system. But I don't want to believe that that is the sole intention of government. Remember, the meeting was held with the newly sworn-in 8 local government commissioners. Chairman. And therefore, loyalty at the grassroots has changed. The previous ones, political appointees or elected grassroots local government workers depend solely on the stipends they receive every month. Delaying a day would cause some challenges, serious one. If not, some of them would have died in the circumstance, and that apology would be of no moment. So I agree they should do whatever they want to do hastily and very, 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 very fast.
Well, if I will lend the voice to that,
Yes.
you know, the verification exercise they want to embark upon, they are talking about civil servants, not basically political appointees. So if they are civil servants, I don't think there is intention to withhold any person, because there is Civil Service Act. So if it is for political business, so someone who is due for retirement, you don't retire the person. Verification exercise will equally give room for those who are due for retirement to retire, so that new space can create. So I think the intention of government is okay, but my plea is that these things can be preventable to save costs.
Okay,
yes. I would like to say the local government do not operate, they are not regulated by the Civil Service Act. Let's get that straight. Civil Service Act has to do with the federal appointees. Various state laws regulate their Civil Service Commission. Now, the local government is a creation of the Constitution, but the House of Assembly enact laws to regulate the governance of that local government. And the laws that regulate Rivers State local government is not the same as regulate that of Bayelsa. So their rules are very, very close to the local government administration. I know how these political actors behave.
Do you have proof for this?
If that warrants proof, I can give you proof. I know of several persons who receive monthly salaries, monthly stipends, but they are not even employed in local government. What they tag them is welfare.
But isn't that why this is being
That is
done
the
now?
essence. That is the essence.
But you're feeling like there's an ulterior motive.
The ulterior motive is to weed
it.
out those persons whose loyalty were for the previous local government administrations. And so that this new set of local government can bring in their own people. Remember, it is not for the state. It is at the grassroots. And loyalty starts from the grassroots. So from whichever
exactly
angle,
what Doctor was saying.
from whichever way you look at it,
they are not appointees. So how would you sweep them out?
If you get the,
I would want to know, the people should know too, the legal implications of internet fraud, because this is a prevalent issue in the country at the moment. The rise is insane. So what are the legal implications of internet fraud? Educate.
Define before we go to the legal implication of internet fraud. Yeah. Let's look at the act of the EFCC first. Neat. And when something is seen, concrete evidence is seen linking you to a commission of a crime, then you can be arrested or you can be called for questioning. But what our security agencies do, which also the EFCC in this circumstance also engage in, is to pick at random. Then you prove your innocence in the office. If you fail to prove your innocence, they charge you to court, and the court will not hesitate to release you. And so if this set of persons, 14 of them arrested, if they are linked to the crime, the implications are very, very grave. Same with every other criminal offense. They will go in for it. The law is clear for whatever offense that you are illegal.
Now, arresting a young man because he's having a good computer, similarly phone,
an expensive wristwatch,
and luxurious cars.
When you say luxurious cars, do you know their foundations? Someone whose father maybe is a senator or a minister, and this, of course, in Nigeria, he will have access to luxurious car. So driving a luxurious car or a good car doesn't mean you are a criminal.
But it doesn't entirely take them off the eyes of
no,
the face.
I'm coming. Like for me, I bought my first car at the age of 22. And while driving on the road, most time people, Let me
okay,
come.
so please let's not take that
let
out.
me come. You see, when you arrest someone and you deny him access of his activities because of suspicion, it's foolishness.
Now, speaking about suspicion, is it right for the EFCC or for security agencies to arrest based on suspicion?
Now, if you go through our laws, what the police has a right to search you is first when there is a warrant of search or warrant of arrest. Now, if there is none,
police of their investigations, if they're not supposed to take these suspects and all of that.
Oh, I think you're very, very far from the investigation.
That's how Nigerians
a police
have seen
officer,
it
no.
over time.
A police officer or a security agency can discreetly investigate you, even live in the same environment with you without you knowing that someone is at your trade. That is what they are trained to do. But they fail to do so. Maybe they are not having the necessary training, maybe they are not having the necessary equipment. All three, that they are sluggish in carrying out those activities. And so what they do, have you passed through our major road, especially this Obrikwe road? Once you see those security agencies standing there, once you sight a young guy driving a car, they will park you. And they ask you for questions that then the next thing, they go about looking, tapping to your phone. Is that the procedure? That is not the procedure known to law.
Okay, now let's look at how to make this better. Moving forward, how can the EFCC be made, or other security agencies be made to do better in cases like this?
What I made to understand is that it has to do with the ideology or the perception of the police force. Or no, the EFCC are members of the police force. So when we say police force, we're bringing them together. Or the security agencies, apart from the military, who are sometimes find a way of excluding themselves in some of these activities. But if you look at it very well, they are aware of the certain things that they are doing, or they need to be having a continuous reorientation, education of all some of these things, then exposing them to trainings of this. But they must first have the mentality of doing things right. Because some of these security agencies, the intention of going to work
mass arrests. Because the mentality is that any young Nigerian is a criminal, is a Yahoo boy. So, and this ought to stop, because we are demeaning our young people. It's a psychological problem. You don't think that in other countries, you see millionaires of 20-something. Is that correct? What millionaires?
When it comes to internet fraud,
their brain is assumed to be inactive. Their brain is assumed to be dummy. So if your brain is assumed to be a dummy, how come did you make money if not through illegal means? And we are saying that it should stop.
Now, the lawyer mentioned something earlier when he was talking about the rights of the Nigerian and the right way for investigations to be carried out. Now, what we have seen time and time again is these people being sometimes apprehended in their cars, they are being arrested and just taken away. We've seen cases like that where we're walking past the road and we see a young boy probably with a lady on one side of the road. They're searching them and then they're taking them away. That's what we've seen time and time again. It means that a lot of Nigerians do not even know that there is another way that it should be done. And now you have stated the right way according to the law which it should be done. Yes. So when it is done the other way round, when you're just apprehended, arrested and all of that, what are you supposed to do within your rights according to the law?
You see, whenever a security agent stops me on the way, I said, just a light, I'll ask you, do you have a reasonable cause to stop me? That is the only question I ask. The educated officers will turn back and look at you and ask you, who are you? There's one that stopped me somewhere around Ada George Road. The first thing he did was, my hands, I am officer so and so, look at my hands, he brought out his pocket and said, can I have a search of your car, and I asked him, do you have the reasonable cause to search my car? What is that reasonable cause? First, a car of my type has been declared missing or stolen from a particular place, and therefore it has been radioed to their various platforms that
I see this car,
a Honda of so model, so color has been stolen, and the information the driver is heading so way. So all the security at that point, they will not even stop every car. They will be looking for that type of car and that color of car. So once they see that car, they have every right to ask you to stop and confirm, because the particulars of the car will have been given to them, and they confirm if that is the car. Aside that, a police officer has no right to stop you on the road. There must be a reasonable cause to stop you on the road. If he suspects that your car is a stolen car, it's not mere suspicion. And then you want me to prove my innocence. Rather, it is for you to prove my guilt. I am innocent, you prove my guilt. So this knowledge is somehow...
Yours ended. A lot of times.
I tend to agree. You know, it's about statutes matter. Because of your status, assumptuously, as a lawyer, you can defend yourself. Now, here is a young man who is still in school or just graduated, and probably he has no much knowledge about the law.
Yes.
And even if you know the law, for justice is quite expensive.
Expensive, yes.
Justice in Nigeria is expensive. Justice in Nigeria takes time. So if you don't want to settle with them at that point, they will take you to cell. And bail is assumptuously free, but indirectly is not free. Are you getting it? Now, when you are charged to court, even if it's empty, you need to secure a lawyer not free to go and bail you at the court.
All right.
So, assumptuously, our plea is that let us treat
what can be done to put a stop or maybe curb these inadequacies?
Is it from these security agencies or on the aspect of the citizens? There are two ways.
Okay, go on.
First, on the part of the security agencies, which I've mentioned, they must have, they must be civil. Being civil means they must have the proper knowledge of how to deal at every particular situation. No two circumstances may be the same. But it is the knowledge that a police officer has that will use to treat the citizens on the road. Then, on the part of the citizens should be educated. Now we have civic education running from GS1 up to SS3 in secondary schools. Now, if you attend classes of civic education, government, there is no way you will not be acquitted with all these rights. When you know all these rights, so long as it is genuine, it is not when it is not genuine, that is when you see people
on duty who battled for several hours to revive him. He was eventually pronounced dead. Also, some policemen attached to Enugu State Police Command confirmed the demise of the said officer. This is indeed a very sad situation. Before we go on to what can be done to improve the welfare of these officers and all of that, let's get your perspective to this story.
Well, I would like to condole with the immediate family and the IGP and this force for the demise of this gallant police officer who died in active service. Number two, I would like to encourage that there should be accessibility of first aid. When I want to say, talking about first aid, maybe BP apparatus at any of the police service units or point, because it could be possible for the day's time of lectures for senior officers or whatever, their BPs should be checked at a certain time of the day during operations or service. they should check their BP. Before they close from duty to return back home, they should check their BP. It doesn't take time. So I want to believe.
And, Enugu state government, the Nigerian police force, the sudden demise of their father, husband, we don't know. They only said a colleague, let's say colleague. But the truth is, once one of the requirements for being recruited in Nigerian police is a medical, clean bill of health, medical certification that you're fit, medical-wise, to be to pass through the hurdles of what the services demands. After that, after the recruitment,
facilities, what can be done by the federal government to, improve the health care for security agents like this to avoid these sort of reoccurrences?
The National Health Insurance Scheme was introduced by the federal government. I don't know if the police officers have keyed into it. Yeah. That is one. Then two, I was talking about the availability of the medical needs. So there ought to be a clinic or a sick bay at a hospital, in that airport. If that were to be the case, I think demand would have been somehow, unless it is the will of God, maybe the man would have been revived. But there are certain things that some of our citizens die here.
Used because of non-adequacies of manpower. But I raised that point because if we want to increase the manpower, there should be interesting reasons why young Nigerians will want to join the security system.
When he appeared before the committee trying to talk about state police, talking about a yearly recruitment of at least 30,000 to up. There's also a demand to recruit not less than 100,000 of the police officers. There are so many communities in Nigeria, so many communities in Rivers State that are not policed or under-policed.
Wish FM Port Harcourt. Lesuka Event Center.
Welcome back. This is Atlantic Blowout and the conversation is on. Women groups in Ondo State have canvassed for the slots in the major political parties ahead of the November 16 governorship election in the state. The women's groups, including the National Council of Women's Society, market women groups, and Women in Politics, insisted that women should be the next deputy governor of the state because no woman emerged as inclusiveness in governance, lamented women as deputy governorship candidates from all participating political parties, would persist until it is met and complied with by all political parties in the state. Now, this agitation, do you believe that indeed it is for gender balance, like the women have come to say? The women groups have come to say.
Let me first give some, let me say a good smile first. You know, politics is not something you demand for. Politics is not something, political positions are not something you sit down and demand for. You work hard for it, right? Then two, yes, the demands of the women group are should be encouraged, one. But do you think it's
you
just...
have a laughter. It's almost like a...
Yes, it should be encouraged. There's a point I'm going to, because the women themselves are not sincere to themselves.
How do you mean?
Yes.
Now, in 2023, 2022, election was 2023. Yes, 2022, when PDP, APC, and other political parties conducted their primaries. I believe also in those states, some women came out. Majority of the population in Nigeria are made up of women. And now, if the women can come together in one accord to agree on a particular candidate,
be based on gender?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. There is a cause for that the deputy slot be given to a woman. Their demand is simply because none of the women, so they are saying, because you people, they are saying the men failed in considering them, but it is not true. It is a collective responsibility she had. But there were so many ladies who are among the delegates in that election, a woman becoming a deputy governor. Have you asked yourself, for the past 8 years that we have the woman as a deputy governor, what was the significance of having that woman as a deputy governor to the women in Rivers State? What was the impact, the direct impact, that the woman felt that, oh...
We've seen women. We've had female deputy governors.
He has been an advocate of women in politics. So I think other governors can, emulate, but which they are emulating. But like I said, that women gathering to say they should be given deputy governorship, I believe the target is for one or two political parties, either for PDP or for APC.
They're saying for all political parties.
Now, like I said, if you say for all political parties, I would want to inform you that in almost all the political parties, the price rate for women in collecting nomination form, some are free.
Some 50%.
Some are very discounted. That's great encouragement.
If we have this sort of encouragement and this platform for women to get involved, positions, we have not had more than 50% women in Nigeria.
That's what we are saying.
Why does it seem that way? Now you've mentioned some of these benefits that they have. They're already giving the ground to play. So why does it feel like we do not have women coming?
We are on almost the same page. Political system in Nigeria is expensive. For instance, for you to become a governor in that Ondo state, you must be talking about
capable of sourcing this money.
If you are capable of sourcing this money, it means that you are capable of winning election, because winning election is money. Now, this is Ondo state, but in the case of some states, some zones of this country, there are factors. Even with your money, you may not be allowed to emerge
as a woman
because of religious
factors
or ethnic factors.
Now, we're looking at Ondo State in this case.
I want to represent me for the position of deputy governor.
Okay, all right. Doctor, let's go back to my question now, which has not still been answered, right?
I think so.
That's what I think. Why does it seem like we're not seeing women emerge in this top leadership positions?
It's because they are, let me answer you directly, because they have not made themselves available.
Same at the state level. So the point is, women are coming up, and the desire to become Oliver Twist is very important.
Now let us dive straight into the next story. For the 84-kilometer, 169.7 billion naira Bidamina road construction in the Kabaji Kach local government area of the state, expressed his determination to make
to make agriculture strive.
Oh, all right.
While I will agree with him on part, I will disagree with him on the fact that it's not about government. Government will set the modalities. Government. When we talk about commercial farming, it's not. If government will not give you that environment, talk about security.